Our guests are outstanding. I've already sort of introduced them, so introducing them again would seem like the Department of Redundancy to that redundancy. But here's Lindsay Keith. Lindsay Keith, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Unmute. Very happy to have you here. So while I bring in Lindsay, I'll remind those of you who may have forgotten, or tell you, those who don't know, that Lindsay went to the White House briefing. What day was that? On Wednesday?
On Wednesday, yeah.
On Wednesday, and you sat in the new media seat. Just so you know, I've applied to sit in that seat. Haven't heard a word from the White House, so I'm hoping to go with an iPad on my chest, like a sandwich board, and have the question not come from me, but a member of the two-way community. Maybe the White House doesn't like that idea because they haven't called for me yet. Was that your first time asking a question at the briefing at this administration, or no?
It wasn't my first time to ask a question, but it was my first time to get the first question,
The
which was
first
really
question, yeah.
great. Yeah, it was really great.
And I haven't been to a briefing since this administration started. What's the kind of mood in that? Is it tense in there? Is it exciting? What's it like in the briefing room? Because it's packed every day, but what's it like?
Yeah, and I want to answer a question, but I first want to say, Mark, thank you for having me on, and what you're doing at Two Way is incredible. So, and people
Thank you
are
for
loving
that.
it, and it's an honor to be on with Rich too. So good to see you. But it's really interesting because this is my first time to cover the White House in person and actually be in those briefing rooms every time that Karoline holds a presser there. But they're packed. And so it's fascinating because people who cover the Biden administration are pretty grumpy because there's so many people in the room. And before, only the seats were taken, and they said many of them were empty as well. And now there's 49 seats specifically in the room who are dedicated to everyone, as you know, Mark, but for people listening in. But what's fascinating, if you see the camera looking back at the media, there's at least 50 people standing as well.
Yeah.
And it's pretty tense in there. You can barely get your arm up to answer questions. So it was nice to be in the new media seat where I could sit down, because normally I don't have a seat, and get that first question. So that was fun to experience. But yeah, it gets pretty intense in that room, and it's packed as well. People just so eager to cover this administration.
Yeah.